Before we get started with the forecast, I do want to go over the new significant intensity outlooks. These were put into place to make better forecasts and outlooks. The Storm Prediction Center, the tornado one, specifically, I want to talk about real quick. Sig 1 is a bit more of an uncertainty, like this area could have more increased tornado activity than the rest of so and so supercell. May have a stronger area or have like isolated supercell here or whatnot. Sig 2 is an increased confidence and is generally used for, and again, increased confidence. A stronger tornado may appear in this area. The Sig 1 is also kind of that, but generally used for smaller outbreaks or like regional outbreaks. Sig 2, again, is kind of trying to keep with in much more increased confidence in stronger tornadoes and maybe even multiple stronger tornadoes. Sig 3 is used for complete maxed out confidence that violent long track violent tornadoes are in the picture as well, and that area that's highlighted by Sig 3 is the most likely area to get hit by strong or even violent tornadoes. And it kind of spreads out very similar of the same with the other severe types. But I just kind of wanted to focus on tornadoes there for a moment. So I just kind of want to get that out of the way before we get this forecast started. Hello, everybody. In today's forecast video, we're going to talk about a couple different systems that's going to impact the southern plains. First two being the next couple of days, including today actually, and next Tuesday, where another big system will be coming out to impact the southern plains. Particularly at the moment, you can obviously see there is this main low right here. This is bringing severe weather in central Texas up into Missouri and Arkansas, and this is expected to continue on into the evening hours. And that is particularly over northeast Texas and northwest Arkansas. Very low tornado threat with these, along with some hail, wind. But over the next few hours, this will eventually continue off to the east, and we are expecting this much larger storm to come out from the Four Corners region. And this is going to bring a lot more moisture up into Oklahoma, Texas, and parts of Kansas as this continues to eject, eject into Friday. And you can kind of see here that jet streak is kind of over Kansas and Nebraska. Wow, that's really wonky today. Anyways, and like I said, there's going to be a lot of moisture building up ahead of this thing, so we're going to have to watch that very closely. Alright, here is the dew points at the moment. There is a cold front stretching down into southeastern Oklahoma and northwest Arkansas, and this is bringing kind of higher moisture, higher dew points in northeast Texas and southeast Oklahoma and western Arkansas, as it pushed a whole lot of that moisture that was sitting over Oklahoma the past couple days. All that is now in kind of down there in southeastern Oklahoma, northeast Texas. And this is where it's going to kind of sit for the next several hours until we do expect this cold front to eventually move on, and this moisture is expected to build back into the northwest Texas and western to central Oklahoma and even southern Kansas. And right now, as I said before, ahead of this cold front, there is ongoing storms in Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. But as that cold front diminishes and moves out of the way fairly quickly, going into the early hours of Thursday, this is about noon on Thursday, that moisture is already starting to build back in, and we do expect it to just continue to build back in. Here is 3 p.m. Thursday. already 60 degree dew points in northeastern and central southwestern Oklahoma and northwestern Texas. And that dry line very clearly sets up there in the western Texas panhandle. And that is going to be where it's going to sit for the remainder of the day. Going off to 6 p.m., the moisture very quickly continues to build into the mid and even upper 60s across Oklahoma. And dry line stalls there in the western Texas panhandle. And again, this is just where it's going to be sitting for several hours. Going into the overnight hours, that dry line actually starts to retreat a little bit. Kind of stalls. Kind of stalls and even retreats some distance back to the west, while that moisture continues to build in southern, eastern Kansas and central Oklahoma, and parts of Texas. And as this continues throughout the day on Friday, that dry line makes its move. This dry line starts moving eastward right before noon, and that moisture still clearly there in central Oklahoma. Let's go ahead and continue this to about noon. And right at noon, that dry line starts to sharpen and becomes much more noticeable here in western Oklahoma. And this is just going to continue to build back in, and looking out towards 6 p.m. Friday, that dry line will have already moved past I-35. So definitely watching in this storm system, that dry line kind of extends out. Any storms that fire off that dry line will have the chance to bring strong tornadoes, very large hail, and damaging wind gusts, anything that could stay out ahead of the dry line. And that cold front also kind of makes an appearance. You can see all the way up here. That dry line continues to extend downward. But definitely watching any storms that can go off ahead of the boundaries. This is mixed layer cape. This is the instability in the atmosphere. There's a pretty big pocket of it actually around central Texas. 2,000 plus joules per kilogram there. Let's go ahead and erase this real quick. Yeah, almost 3,000 joules per kilogram in some spots. Elsewhere, 1,000 to maybe 1,500 joules per kilogram in southeastern Oklahoma and much of Arkansas. And throughout the night, as the storms was daytime heating, at around 6 p.m. Thursday, this is actually 5 p.m. Let's go ahead and start here. There's pockets, a very noticeable area of higher instability there in northwest Texas and the Texas Panhandle. This is just off the dry line, which is set up right here. This is where we're expecting storms to fire, which we'll get to here in just a moment. And throughout the night, this also diminishes. However, going into Friday, instability noticeably stays around here in Texas, Oklahoma. So definitely watching these storms. Let's go and go out to 6 p.m. And east of I-35. Hang on! Is east of I-35. The instability ramps up to around 2,000 joules per kilogram. And it continues to ramp up there. Going into the significant tornado parameter, you can clearly see some. There's some little spikes here and there from southern Missouri through northwest Arkansas, southeast Oklahoma, and northeast Texas. Very, very low, as stated before. And it's just going to kind of diminish fairly quickly in the next few hours. But going into Thursday, there is a spike just off the dry line, which is also pretty noticeable here. There is a spike in northwest Texas and southwest Oklahoma. Watching that for again, for any tornadoes. A few tornadoes, maybe an isolated strong one. And this does kind of continue off to the northeast into Oklahoma, but as these storms lose daytime heating in the overnight hours, that tornado threat might diminish. However, we still can't rule out an isolated tornado too in northwest Oklahoma and even out in central Oklahoma. It's just watching that very carefully. And then going into Friday, tornado parameter does again kind of bump up here ahead of the dry line, so we're going to have to watch any storms that go up in that favorable environment. To reflectivity, still ongoing storms right now in eastern Oklahoma and northeast central Texas. And there's a few bubbling up again in Missouri. Watching these for large hail damaging winds and a couple of isolated tornadoes. Let's go ahead and continue this up a little bit here. And throughout the night, they some more widespread rain and thunderstorms across Missouri, southeastern Oklahoma. And a couple of these could try to rotate, spawn tornadoes, so be weather aware if you're in Missouri, Arkansas. Any storm ahead of that cold front can produce some large hail damaging winds and, again, the isolated tornado threat we're watching. And some rain and thunderstorms continue to just kind of remain around, even behind that cold front. Definitely some much-needed rain for the region. And going into the next couple days, this is actually 3 o'clock. The HRR model is showing already supercells developing in the Texas Panhandle. We're generally watching this area for supercell development in northwest Texas, southwest Oklahoma. Definitely going to watch that area for Thursday. And then going into the next couple hours, that dry line really starts to ramp up, spawning a cluster and maybe a couple more isolated supercells, and maybe even a cells further south in western Texas and even southern Texas now, starting to show up with some storms too that come out of Mexico. Definitely going to have to watch those, especially this cluster up here specifically in western Oklahoma, just after 6 o'clock. This is showing at about 8 o'clock p.m. when these storms enter western Oklahoma, capable of producing a few tornadoes. An isolated strong tornado cannot be ruled out, and very large hail up to baseball size and damaging winds 60 to 70 plus miles per hour. And then continuing on throughout the evening, the H4 model does try to bring these. This is about 9 o'clock p.m. These storms do try to make it towards Oklahoma City, because again, this is where that higher moisture is. That higher moisture is pretty much right up the I-35 corridor, and these storms like that moisture as fuel to keep going. So again, this has become more of a bow echo, more of a wind threat. However, embedded supercells are the main concern as they approach the Oklahoma City metro area overnight. So from about 10 p.m. to 1 in the morning, that storm kind of elongates up into southern Kansas, northern Oklahoma, and maybe a couple more storms in the Oklahoma City area. Watching these very closely, again, any embedded cells can produce tornadoes, large hail, and damaging winds. Luckily, so far, looks like the most of it will miss Oklahoma City to the north. But we're still going to have to keep a very, very close eye on this as it does make its way through. And going in the later afternoon hours of Friday, that dry line sets up just west of I-35. We're watching any of these cells out east of it. Now, for Oklahoma, it is still a bit of a hit or miss, but still have to watch anything that goes up along or east of I-35 tomorrow. That's kind of a bad area. You have to watch pretty much this area for any cells, any isolated supercells, anything that can go up ahead of that dry line. Gonna have to watch it very, very closely. Now looking at the Storm Prediction Center outlooks, this is day 1. And as you can see, brand new outlooks. They have changed. There's now 3 significant intensification settings. Let's go and look at the tornado first. There is a 5% unhatched risk there, ranging from northern Arkansas into southern Missouri. Watching that area, that's the most increased tornado threat for tonight, out ahead of that cold front. And a much larger 2% risk that ranges from Waco, Texas, up to the north and southeastern Oklahoma, central, western, northern Arkansas, and western Kentucky and southern Indiana. That includes Springfield, Missouri, Dallas, Waco, Texas, uh, just southwest of Louisville, Kentucky, and Evansville, Indiana. The wind risk, again, 50%. Unhatched risk ranging just north of Waco, Texas to Dallas, Texas, southeast Oklahoma, western northern Arkansas, southeastern Missouri, southern Illinois, far western Kentucky, and southwest Indiana, where 60 to 65 mile per hour winds are expected. Hail, again, not expected to get too large. Same area, just north of Waco, Texas, up to southwestern Indiana, where some storms can produce 60 to 65, or sorry, up to golf ball size hail at the strongest storms. Look into the day 2 outlook. There is the dry line sets up out in the western Texas Panhandle, and that's level 2 slight risk ranges from about Lubbock, Texas, up to Amarillo, Texas, into Oklahoma, western central Oklahoma, and southern Kansas. I do think with that new ARRR model run, that slight risk may get extended further east to include Oklahoma City fully. Looking at the tornado risk, we get a look into that new significant intensity ratings as we now see that in SIG 1 in the green and brown, which was not a thing before until this new Outlook update. But again, and that's outline, which includes just eastern Lubbock, Texas, eastern Amarillo, the western Oklahoma City area. There is a chance for a isolated strong tornado or 2. A few tornadoes, again, possible with the strongest embedded cells and isolated supercells. And again, I do think this may be shifted further east to include Oklahoma City, as the recent ARRR model brings those storms further east into Oklahoma City. So watching that, wind risk includes northwest Texas, up into western and northwestern Oklahoma, into southern Kansas, where we are expecting 60 to 70, maybe even 80 mile per hour winds, because again, this kind of bows out, and I do think that 15% risk area is going to extend east. Again, I do think it is going to be up to 80 mile per hour winds, maybe even higher than that with the strongest bow echo as it comes into Oklahoma City or just west of Oklahoma City. Hail, I do think this is going to be at its strongest, at its peak in northwest Texas and southwestern Oklahoma, where the supercells tend to stay more isolated. But again, any isolated supercell can produce up to baseball size hail, and that includes Lubbock, Amarillo, Texas, Oklahoma City, especially the western portions, and Wichita, Kansas. And you do see that SIG outlook kind of are in that brown area as well. And that does include just western of Abilene, Texas, northeast of Odessa, Texas, Dodge City. So that we're going to have to watch that as well. As the hail outlook going into, and this is for Thursday, tomorrow. And then going into Friday, we have this enhanced risk here. Northwest Missouri, eastern Kansas, and central Oklahoma. I think unless more model data comes in, I don't think there's going to be many storms in Oklahoma. If 1 or 2 big supercells go up off the dry line and sustain themselves, baseball plus size hail, potentially up to 60, 70, even 80 mile per hour winds, and a strong tornado or 2 cannot be ruled out. However, the most significant severe weather I think is going to be in eastern Kansas and northwest West Missouri, where most of the lift will be for the supercells to begin, and it does appear like a KLCS may develop eventually later on. We're going to go ahead and go into the Day 7 outlook, because already the Storm Prediction Center has a big as slight risk ranging from North Texas up into central Oklahoma, southeastern Kansas, and into central Missouri. where all hazards can very much be possible from a pretty big low pressure system out in the Four Corners regions. This is for next Tuesday, March 10th. And that is it for today's forecast. I'm going to be making updated forecasts as the days progress, including either tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon. Stay weather aware and make sure you have shoes nearby when you sleep. Your phone nearby as well. Keep it charged. Stay weather aware and stay safe.